Hey guys, in today's video we're going to do multiple things for the garden, and it's probably going to be done, recorded over a few days. Today we're going to start off with starting some more seeds. We're going to give our onions a haircut, and I believe that's it for today. Let's see what seeds we're going to start and how many seeds we need to start of each, and then we'll be able to start to do the actual planting. So today we can start some celery, which I have to look on the packet how many I can do per space. Okay, let me get my seed packets. You're gonna look for the celery? Okay, so I have here all the seeds we're gonna start today. I actually got one more seed order of additional stuff that we're gonna plant, and I have another one that I'm waiting to arrive. As for the celery, let's see. Celery here. How much space does this need? 1 every 6 to 12 inches. So we'll do 10 celery. As for the eggplant, actually we'll do a little bit more. I'm just writing down how many I need to have according to my plan. Eggplants, I have 2. This is a yellow and the red pepper. So let me see what I planned here. 1 yellow. And for the red pepper, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and we're gonna do a habanero pepper today as well, and this we'll do one as well. Okay, so we can get right to the planting of this. I'm gonna set this aside. We're gonna bring our soil over. I'm gonna bring our trays over, and I have a helper. So first thing, we figured out what pots we're gonna need. We brought that over, and last time I couldn't find my old trays, so I ordered a new pack. It's still taped together. I've gotta cut it apart. So these over here are gonna be for the eggplant and the celery. And we're probably gonna start a few on here for extra peppers. Let's see if it'll fit with these. Yeah, it fits with these. Okay. Okay, so 1 tray. So we'll need 2 trays. Next thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna start some labels. For the celery and the eggplant, I'm just gonna write celery and eggplant because I'm not planting anything differently, like at different varieties. So the eggplant we're gonna do, I said we need 2. So I'm gonna start 4 in one of them. And for the celery, I'm also gonna do them in these, but I'm gonna start 2 celeries per cell. And that means that each tray will have 8, and I'll do 2 of those. So I'll make 2 tags. And as for the peppers, each pepper plant will be in one of these. So we're doing 4 red peppers, a yellow, and a habanero. And then I'm gonna take a 4th one of these, and I'm just gonna start 2 red peppers, a yellow, and a habanero, so that I have, in case something happens with the other ones. So we're gonna do 5 red pepper labels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 for the yellow and 2 for the habanero. Now we can get our gloves out. We can bring the soil out, and we're gonna do like we did last time with the onions. I'm gonna fill up my bowl with soil, get it hydrated, and then get them into the pots. Okay, I've got this full. We're waiting for some water. Okay, you can pour it in. Pour gently so I can tell you when to stop. Okay, that's enough for now. You can leave it on the side. You want to mix it in? Let me pick up your sleeve. I think I should roll it up, no? What do you think? Yeah? Remember what it should look like? What it should feel like? Yeah?
This doesn't feel right yet.
No, not yet.
Needs more water.
Okay.
It should be like moist, right?
Yeah, and when you squeeze it and hold it up, it should hold its shape and not fall apart. Let go. Yeah, but make sure that all of the soil, even from the edges around the corners and the bottom, all of it should be wet.
The bottom is the wettest.
Yeah?
The bottom is where...
Okay, so let me see. Let me make sure.
The bottom.
Yeah, you did a very good job. You want to fill up the pots? Here you go. You can fill up the pots till the top. You're going to want to push down slightly, not too much, because you want the roots to be able to get through the soil easily, but you want to make sure that there's no air pockets anywhere.
Can you do that? No.
We're going to need a lot more soil than I thought, because these pots are big. Okay, this is enough for now, I think. I think I have to order more of this compost. And I should check if I can get more soil, how soon, because I don't know if I'll have enough for the next time we need to order. Yeah. So my last video, gardening video, I showed you guys the compost that I ordered, but I didn't have a label on the front. This is what it is that I ordered, and I've used last year and I'm using this year as well. I'm going to start with our eggplants right here, and these last 4 over here. And I think we're gonna do, should we do 2 per? Let me see. No, because we're doing 2 extra ones anyways. So these, let's see. You're going to do a 1/4 inch.
So
do you want to, no. Do you want to do it with a toothpick?
Yeah.
With water? Okay. So let's go get a ramekin.
I'll hold this for you.
Okay. I'm gonna get a ramekin with a toothpick. We're gonna do the same method that we did last time with our onions. So most of our seeds are going to be a 1/4 inch deep, just like we did for the onions. So we're going to do the same little trick where we get our toothpick. Well, I don't know if we'll be able to do it with this because these are bigger seeds. So I think our new tool might be helpful. You want to use it? Okay. So we did get, I believe, what's called a dibbler. Yeah. And it has some markings on it. I don't know if you can see it on camera with the inches. So you're going to put in just a little bit of pressure, not too much, because a 1/4 inch is really not very deep. That's way deeper than we need. Let me show you. So a 1/4 inch is going to be probably till about here. So like barely anything. Yeah. You want to put it in, take a seed, drop it in there, and then you can cover it like that. Yeah, do the same thing in all 4. So maybe take the seeds first. Do that. No. Make the hole and I'll drop it in because you like that. You're not looking away. Next thing will be, should we do the celery next?
Yes.
Okay, celery will have tiny, tiny seeds, if I remember correctly from last time. And these, it says to actually just press into surface. So we'll just put 2 on the top and we'll make sure that it has contact with the soil. Let me get another ramekin. So these are teeny tiny seeds. So I'm gonna put 2 just on top of the soil, and I'm making sure that it is touching the soil. What you can do now is just put on your glove and just tap the top of the soil of these 4. You don't want to? You don't have to. To make sure that the seeds are in contact with the soil. Okay, while you have the gloves on, these habanero peppers the seeds can be spicy. So it can hurt your hands, any of the spicy peppers. So make a 1/4 inch hole. Just a little bit. Let's see. Can we get just one? One. Can you place it in there and then cover it? Maybe just turn your hand right up and you'll push it in.
No, because of my.
What?
It's just that way.
Okay.
Where's the hole?
Push it into the hole that you created and cover it with soil.
Goodbye.
And then over here we have another habanero that we're going to make. And now we're going to do a yellow one over here and then a yellow one over here. And then we're going to do the red ones. So we have a red over here. No. That one has the habanero. We already put one in. Push it into the hole. The hole's over here. Cover. And then we're going to have here, and these. Now I have some water here in a spray bottle. We're going to mist these to make sure that our soil gets wet. That our seeds get wet. So I will mist this once or twice a day as they look dry until they sprout. Because we have to make sure that these seeds stay moist, especially something like the celery that is not buried and is just resting on the top. The peppers and the eggplant, because they're a 1/4 inch in, the soil is still a little bit moist in there, even though the top layer might be a little bit dry. We want to make sure that it doesn't dry out completely, and that's why we're gonna keep misting it every day as needed. And now last time when we started our onions, I had humidity domes that came with those trays. But for these sizes, I didn't get those domes. So we're just gonna use some saran wrap. And we're gonna do like this. And this will be our humidity dome. For this, we're gonna move this to our rack. Oh no, we gotta clean off the shelf over there first. Okay, so here's our seed starting station. I had moved the shelf up here with our onions, which you can't see right now. You might be able to see just a little bit, but they need a haircut. So we're gonna go back to the table once we bring over our new seeds, and we're gonna give these a haircut. But I need to have this shelf empty. So we're gonna move things around here. We're gonna move the onions to the table already, so it's ready for us. And we're gonna need our heater here. And I have to bring in our fan because our onions can use the fan already. The fan, the purpose of that is to mimic the wind that these plants will have once they're outdoors. Okay, this is our all pepper tray. Go ahead. And this is our pepper, eggplant, celery tray. And I'm going to decide if I need the heater for this. But let me take you back to the table and we're going to trim our onions. Now I should really bring in some garden shears from outside. It's freezing cold today, windy, and garden shears. The little clippers that we use in the garden. So I'm going to use scissors that I have in the house for this time. And I'm just cleaning them with a Clorox wipe to make sure that there's no contamination happening here. We're going to let this air dry because it's really wet. Okay, so we want them to be no shorter than 3 inches. And this one is just about 3. Just about 3. I thought that they can use a haircut already, but no. See? This one here can use a little bit.
This
And I can see some of these onions have already added a second layer. You can tell that by this thing over here that it has two sort of like branches coming up. So that is great news. And I see from this variety, the New York Early has a lot more of them already, like that. By giving them these haircuts, we're promoting new, faster growth. This will be it for today. And I believe that the next time we do a haircut on them, we'll be able to cut all of them. Now that I have an estimation of about how much the 3 inches is. Okay, let's get these back on the seed starting trays. And the onion seeds are back on the shelf. And again, once these sprout, we're going to take off the saran wrap and we're going to bring it closer to the light. Our onions can use another haircut, and they need to be fertilized. We're going to mist our seeds down here and see if we got any sprouting. And let me reference my book here. Now we're going to start more seeds next week. Okay. So first I'm going to do the haircuts, which you guys have seen me do before. I'm going to use my dibbler again. Oh yeah, definitely. Nice haircuts. And guys, let me tell you like this. If the audio and visual don't match up with previous recordings, I'm sorry about that. I have some issues with my camera. I sent it into the company just now. And hopefully it won't take too long for them to repair it and send it back to me. Okay. Now that these have all gotten haircuts, we're going to fertilize it. For the fertilization, I got myself this little sprayer here, and I have diluted some of this fertilizer in here with some water, and we're gonna get to spraying these. Okay, so I gotta pump it. And then we'll just spray. And even though not all of the cells have growth in them, I'm gonna fertilize every single one of them. So these onions, they just got their second haircut. We're gonna do a few more of them until they go outside. Once we get them outside in the garden beds, we're not gonna fertilize anymore. I mean, we're not gonna cut it anymore, because then it's susceptible to outside elements and it can introduce disease from the cut end. Let me lock this. And I'm going to set this aside. Okay, now these can go back under the grow lights. We're going to get out the seeds that we started last time we were here together. And I don't see any sprouts yet, but it's been 7, 8, 9 days. And that's okay. It's okay. We just have to make sure. Oh, we got some celery. Oh, celery sprouted. I see a couple of celeries. I'll bring you guys closer so you can see. No eggplant yet. And no peppers yet. Oh, I think this one here starting. Okay, this is exciting. So let me wet this and then I'll bring you guys over. So whenever this, I don't want to water because it doesn't need all that moisture yet. All we need is for the seeds to stay hydrated. Now the pepper seeds, even though they're like they might look a little bit dry, the soil in the pot, the top layer, that's okay because the seeds are a little bit under and those tend, like the soil underneath tends to stay a little wetter. My only concern was the celery because those were just directly on top of the soil and that had to stay wet consistently. I'm still going to keep it covered once I'm done misting it because it hasn't had enough growth that it should warrant not having the humidity dome anymore. Okay, so the peppers, I didn't see anything yet. Over here, I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but there's like a little hole in the soil and I can see what looks like some growth, but I'm not sure. So I'm not going to consider that, but I just wanted to show you. Now over here, you spot that little bit of green over there? Right over there. We've got some right over there too. And some over here. Over here we got both of them sprouted. We have this one right here and over here. So the celery we're doing good. For that one we're doing good. And over here, where was it? Over here. So this little thing over here, I think is going to be the pepper plant. We'll find out. We'll give you guys an update in a couple days. Okay, now that I showed you guys up close what this is looking like, we're just going to put our saran wrap back on to act as our humidity dome. And we're going to get it back on the shelf. The reason why these are taking a little bit longer to sprout, which it's not really long, it's just I'm used to my seeds germinating earlier than it says on the packet, is because I didn't have the heater on and we've had a couple times where it got pretty cold in here for whatever reason. So it wasn't ideal temperatures for these, but the last few days I've made sure that it should be above 70 degrees. And I guess that's been doing the trick for me. Okay, let me put these things away. I'm going to put away our table here, and then we have one more thing to do today. Okay, the last thing we'll be doing today is bringing in our fan. I know that since we started our onions, I've been saying that I have to bring in my fan, I have to bring in my fan. I finally brought it in. So now that we have it in here, we're gonna plug it in and turn it on. It's too low for the onions. Yeah, I think for now I'm gonna bend it up a little bit and we're gonna make it oscillate, so turn back and forth. I'm gonna have it on the lowest setting. So if you can see it on camera, you can see them shaking a little bit. That's gonna mimic the wind and that's gonna make them healthier and stronger onions. Once we have more sprouts, I'll have to probably adjust it accordingly, maybe bring in another one. I'm gonna have to figure out my light situation because I might need to order another light, but we're gonna take things as they come. My first year doing this many seeds, so we'll have to see how we're gonna expand and when. Okay guys, so it's the very next day after we trimmed and fertilized these. I did water them. Then I realized that our celery has 50% sprouts. So this tray has 5. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that means that more than 50% has germinated. And so it doesn't need the humidity dome anymore. It needs the light. So I moved them up here to be closer to the light. Same with this one. This happened a little. I hope these are gonna bounce back. Something fell down on it just now, so hopefully it'll go up to the light and it'll be okay. But so exciting to have more things sprouting. So it's been just a few days since we were last here. I have shown you an update that our celery has sprouted, I believe, and very exciting news, our peppers have sprouted as well. We have here reds and yellows that have sprouted, but our habanero we're still waiting on, and our eggplant we're still waiting on. So now I'm going to write down in my notebook here when we need to fertilize our peppers. Today we can start a bunch of new seeds. Let me get those out. We are doing our March 2nd seeds now. We will be starting, what is this? Snapdragon, eucalyptus, Carolina Reaper peppers, ghost pepper, some scallions, some petunias. So I'm going to look through on my planner. I don't think I've shown you guys this yet, but this is what my garden will look like once I add the additional beds. And I have roughly planned out how I'm going to do things. So this is helping me when I'm starting my seeds to know how many I should be starting. Okay. So I took out here all my flowers, the ones that I'll be starting today and the ones that I'll be starting in the future. And what I'm thinking here is that I didn't really dedicate space for it in my beds between the vegetables, but I did plan to do potatoes this year. I haven't found something that would make it seem like it would be easy to harvest it, because I don't really want to do harvest baskets at this what are those called, the fabric containers, whatever they're called, or at least at this point I don't want to do that. I don't want to invest in it this year. So I have an entire bed that I had dedicated for the potatoes, but I'm thinking now that maybe I'll just make that a flower bed, and our pollinators will love that. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to figure out the spacing on all of this, see how many of each I want to start, and based on that, that's how many flowers I'll be starting. So for this recording here, for some reason, there's no audio attached to it. So we're just going to skip through it. I had figured out for the flowers how many I'm going to start, and we're going to be starting some scallions and some peppers as well, like I said earlier. So in the one pot, in the one tray on the left-hand side where you see like the 4 colored pots in the front, that's going to be all flowers and eucalyptus. And the second tray on the right-hand side with the 2 smaller pots in the front, those are going to be the scallions and the peppers. So I am labeling them and I'm going to plant the seeds. So as for the eucalyptus, the petunia, and the snapdragons, they are very small seeds. So in each cell or in each pot, I'm going to add 2 seeds to ensure germination. For the scallions, what I did was that I sprinkled a bunch of them over the top because I don't want them to size up, like create a bulb. I just want them to be like a bunching onion. I'm just going to plant a bunch of them in a square and transplant it like that. Like that, whenever I need it, I'll just, like when it's time to harvest, I can just come and snip off the tops and I don't have to space them apart because, again, I don't need them to bulb up. And then for the 2 peppers that I started, the Carolina Reaper and the Ghost Pepper, I believe is what it was, then I did 1 seed per for the big ones and 1 in the small ones to ensure that in case if the bigger pots don't germinate or there's an issue with it later on, I have the 1 as backup. So over here, I'm also watering my peppers for the first time, and I'm following my research that said to let it sit in water for 10 minutes. But because it was the first time, the soil looked really dry, so I let it sit in there until the top of the soil looked like it got wet as well. Like the soil drank up all that water to the top. And we're trimming our onions again. And then we're putting both of those back on the shelf to be under the grow light. And the last thing for today, I'm writing down what I did and what I need to do going forward. So the onions don't have leaves. They have these, technically they're leaves, but they're growing in a different way than the traditional leaf on a plant would be. Now, most of them already have 3, as you can see right here. Each of these will represent a layer of onion inside. So this is very exciting when we see more of these popping up. Now, as for the celery and what will be the eggplant and all that stuff, So you can see over here when it pops out of the cell, it creates a root and starts pushing up. And then sometimes the seed itself will still be stuck on the top of the sprout. And then eventually it'll fall off and it'll open up the two leaves like this right there. And then once it grows a little bit more, we'll have what's called the true leaves. This here now is a few days after I was able to start our next set of seeds. I just didn't get around to it. We had some sickness going through the house and I did not get to this. So on this day, it was at night, the house was finally quiet, things were settled down. And I figured before I go to sleep and I call it a night for myself, I'll do this as a way of unwinding from everything that's been going on. And I decided that I don't have the patience to do what I did the last few times when I started seeds, that I got the soil wet and then put them into the pot. Instead, I filled up the pots and then I watered it in to get all of it wet. And it was not the best idea. It created some divots in the soil. Maybe if I would have bottom watered it and let all the soil soak up all that moisture, it would have been better. I know that a lot of people do it that way, but for me, I enjoyed the other way better. So that's what I'll keep on doing going forward. And while all that soil was soaking up the moisture, I set it aside and we're going to get going with our next thing. So while our soil is hydrating, I'm getting down all of our starts because they need to be watered in. And all I do is I take my jar, I fill it up, I fill up the tray with the water, and I let it sit and I let all the roots pull up all the water. The idea of bottom watering is that you're making the roots go all the way down to grab that water, and by making the roots go deep is what's going to make the plant stronger and help it grow better, because you're making it go look for the water instead of when you water from the top, the roots would spread out over the top instead of going down. So that is very beneficial. And then we're going to give our onions another haircut. So here I'm showing you, I realized that the red onions, I can actually see the red already on the outside of the thing. You can see it over here, I'm showing you. And the other onions are either white or green, maybe a little bit yellow. And over here you can see some of the purple. I think this is super cool. Once that is done, I am putting our onions back on the shelf under the grow light, and I'm gonna fertilize our peppers when it's time to do that. And then these are gonna go back on the shelf as well. Now we can come back to our pots that we filled earlier, and as you can see, there's some quite big divots in there. So I'm just getting some more soil. I'm gonna tap it off, and once I put the seeds in is when I'm gonna mist it and make sure that I really wet it a lot to make sure that all that new soil is getting wet. And over here, we're going to be starting some basil and some zinnias. So I put 4 pots in the front, 3 in the back. So the 4 in the front is where I'm doing the zinnias. And I put 2 seeds into each to ensure that I have germination. And in the basil, I just sprinkled a bunch of seeds because till they go outside, they're okay being so close together. Once they go outside, and if I want them to be successful plants, I'm gonna separate them and plant each little seedling separately to create an entire basil plant. But as long as it's in here, it doesn't need much space because it won't be getting very big. So I figure like this, I can maximize the sprouts or the seeds that I am starting. Once that is done, I am gonna, like I said, mist it to wet it all in. I'm gonna cover it with a saran wrap and get it on my shelf. I am gonna update my journal with what I did on this day and keep notes so that A, I know what I'm doing this year, and B, I can look back in the next few years and see what I did, if it was successful or not, and be able to gauge how to do it next year. Okay, so I wanted to show you guys outside that we have some garlic that has sprouted. So as you can see over here, we've got some sprouting happening. I spotted it from my window today, and if you walk down this bed, we can spot a bunch of green coming up. See, look over here. I see a bunch over there. It's not showing up very well on the camera, or at least when I'm looking at it. But look at all this. So much new green growth, and this is all garlic. This entire bed is garlic. And in this bed, we have from here till right before the pots is all garlic. And over here we also have a few that have popped up. We have one over there. We have one over here. One over here. So, yeah, we have a couple more. One right over here, a small one. We have over there one. So, garlic is popping up. Very, very excited for this. Okay, it's a few days later, and this will be our final clip for this video. But I wanted to show you, I did not have enough space under the light, so I ordered a new shelf rack that has a bunch of lights on them, and we transferred them all over yesterday. In the process, we had a little bit of an accident, and our onions and our celery fell out of the trays. So I gently repotted them. The positive thing about this is that I was able to see the root system on these, and they look amazing. So I repotted them, put them back in here. That's why I have some empty cells here now. Same thing with the celery. And I forgot that I had planted 2 seeds per cell. And I was looking at these and I was like, these look like celery, but like my pots are full and like it just doesn't add up. And when I was looking back at the video of me starting these seeds, I realized that's what it is. So these are also celeries. The one thing now is that I don't know which of these onions are the Powell and which ones are the New York Early. So we'll have to do it. So luckily we transplanted at the same time, but for harvesting, we'll just have to go with the signs of like, when they're ready, these greens will flop over. And like they'll feel like hollow inside, whatever. Like I'll show you guys then, but we'll have to go by that instead of just by days of when we should be expecting it. So yesterday I replanted them. I fertilized them even though they weren't due for fertilization for another few days, but I felt I want to give them the best chance in staying healthy, and I watered them in. So as of today, not even 24 hours later, they are looking fine. So we'll keep a close eye on these. Our peppers and eggplant are up here, and they're doing good. And then down here we have our zinnias and our basil back here have sprouted, which is very exciting. We have a ghost pepper here that sprouted. And then down here is where we have our seeds. We're waiting for our seeds to sprout. So over here we have our first petunia starting to show. It is teeny tiny. I don't think you'll be able to see it with a camera. You can maybe see a little bit of green over there. That is it. I'm going to wait for it to get a little bit bigger before I put it under the light. But we're still waiting for our other peppers here, our Carolina Reaper and our additional peppers that we started. And then over here, today we started some yellow asters in both of these front ones. So I did 5 seeds per pot. I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Same for this one. And then we have some jalapeno pepper, some cayenne pepper, an orange bell pepper. And in the back pot over there, that's a 4 cell. Over there, I started some cabbage. So this is it for now. And if you enjoyed watching this video, consider hitting the like button. And if you want to see more, consider hitting the subscribe button, because as of tomorrow, I will be getting a delivery for wood to build out our garden beds outside. So if you want to see that process, hit the subscribe button so you'll be updated. And I want to thank you for taking time out of your day to come along with me on this journey of starting all this new growth and seeing the process. I hope to see you next time.